Hello and welcome to a new episode of Race Recap, where we provide you with all the key insights and crucial information from each weekend's feeder series action. My name's Thomas Rove, and this week on Race Recap, we're returning our attention to one of the most hotly contested series outside of the F1 paddock, as Formula Regional Europe headed to Spa-Francorchamps for 2 races, eventually after weather cancellations, and making its podcast aiming to give us all the insight is our very own FREC editor, Archie Harper. How you feeling, Archie?
Feeling very good, thank you. Very excited. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta say, it's great to have you here. Brilliant couple of races. We did end up seeing that second race cancelled, of course, but I think when you look at the context going into this weekend, there was kind of one man who everybody was kind of looking at to see what he could do, and that man for me would be Sebastian Weldon. But you have to say, I think other drivers may have risen to the fore a bit more instead.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, obviously, a double victory and a pole coming into the weekend, you've got to expect that he does something similar, or is at the front at least. He came 5th in the first race, which on paper, I think his weekend on paper looks okay. I think it's when you contextualize it with in the first race, 5th good, but behind Cliona Sheerin and Rashid Al-Daheri, 2 of his title contenders. Then in the second race, the second race was a bit of a disaster for him. I mean, P10 is not where you want to be, especially again when you consider Rashid Al-Daheri got on the podium and Cliona Sheerin fought back to a P5 in the end. So for Seb Weldon, it wasn't the weekend he was looking for. On paper, as I say, not too bad. But at this point, we're looking at the championship as a whole, and then there's the championship between the kind of top 4 drivers. And so when Weldon finished about 3rd, I'd say, of those top 4, he was the 3rd best. I mean, it's not the weekend he'd have wanted.
No, definitely not. I think as well, you bring up the contextualization there of, okay, we've got Daheri and we've got Nakamura outperforming him both in that race too. Also, he got outperformed by his MP teammate, Alexander Abgavaza, who I thought had a barnstorming race too. It was so great to kind of watch him through the field in that sort of battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And that whole race too was just really, really entertaining for me. But yeah, no, I see what you mean. It's very much a weekend where it certainly could have gone worse. He's still, on that 100% points scored streak. Well, apart from that second race at the Rebel Ring at 4th, where he finished 19th. So it's not like he's had worse weekends per se. But certainly for me, you look at the form book he had coming into it, it's not the end of the world, but it's certainly not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
And kind of speaking about his team, MP Motorsport, of course, we mentioned Alexander Abgavaza, but you look at the teams battle coming into this weekend, it was them and Prema who were looking, to be at the front. And really, I think it was an interesting weekend because obviously Daheri was up there all weekend, and Abgavaza was there as well. But I mean, would you say in terms of that championship battle that Prema might be the one kind of licking their wounds a little bit after this weekend?
I'd say so, yeah, definitely. I mean, they were just ahead of RSGP coming into the weekend. They were 2nd. And now it's quite a gulf. There's quite a gulf now between Prema, RSGP now in 2nd, 10 points behind MP Motorsport. So RSGP have done really well this weekend. Prema, Cliona Sheerin had a better weekend than I think it looks better on paper than it did watching it. But Salim Hanna out of the points, Thomas Stolchamanis out of the points. It was pretty absent from the 2 Prema drivers, and then Cliona Sheerin had to kind of salvage what he could for Prema. But yeah, Prema won't be happy with this weekend. RSGP will be very happy, I think.
And yeah, you mentioned Oliveri. Of course, he came into this weekend leading the rookie standings with 3 rookie wins. But I think it was a couple of different rookies who kind of came to the fore as well. It was very much a weekend when new drivers that we perhaps hadn't seen that high up the grid were definitely showing their muscle. And for me, Alexandra Munoz taking that overall win in race 1, that was quite something because we hadn't really seen him in that position before in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, as I said, it's been the top 4. It's been what is now Rashid Al-Daheri, Sebastian Weldon, Cliona Sheerin, Reno Francois have been the drivers on top. They've been at the front every weekend, every race nearly. Alexandre Munoz came in, got a pole straight away. The first pole sitter that isn't in the top four. The first rookie pole sitter as well this year. Went on to win the race from pole. Then in race 2, qualified P3. Really strong. I think Alexandre Munoz has been the strongest driver this weekend. I think overall. He dropped down a bit in the second race. I think it was P9 in the end, which, I mean, again, not a great result, but I think it's promising, especially when you consider Emanuele Olivieri, who has been, I think, clearly the best rookie so far, will be a bit disappointed. I think he'll also be disappointed having it's not him on pot. It wasn't him that was the first rookie pot. It was Alexandre Munoz, and I think that psychologically could be a bit of a, something to worry about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at them, though, they are very close in the standings. 3 points separate them currently. They are 6th and 7th, with Olivieri heading Munoz there. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned that Olivieri's probably been the quicker driver across the season of the rookies. I have to agree, he's already got a podium coming into this weekend. He's got more points finishes. It's 5 to Munoz's 4. So they're very close. And I think that win from Munoz definitely showed what he can do. But I think that's going to be something very interesting to follow along through the rest of the season. We've got 5 rounds left next heading to Monza. But that battle, that from what I've seen this weekend, is very much Munoz put his foot down in the way I think he needed to, because you look at the all the rookies we've got this year, and it's very much Olivieri and Munoz who are far and away outperforming Gomez, Stoltramanis, Marcus Seiza, who actually did get a rookie win in that second race. It's worth mentioning. But there is definitely some bright talent amongst these guys who are coming into this season for the first time, and you look at Munoz and Olivieri, and okay, one of them might not have had such a brilliant weekend. I mean, still getting in the points in both races, but I think you look at where these guys might be when they've had a full season under their belt, and it does look very promising.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, I mean, Olivieri's been most consistent so far. He's had the flashier weekends. I mean, this is the first kind of flashy weekend from Alexandre Munoz. It's interesting to see if he continues it. So far, as I say, you mentioned the rookies that have the other rookies who have kind of have been a bit inconspicuous so far. Marcus Sarta finally got some points. I think he's been slightly threatening to do so. I mean, obviously his results so far haven't been great, but when we were looking at pre-season testing, he was one of the quicker drivers. We see some of the free practice sessions, he's been really quick. It just hasn't worked out for him in the races, so it's good to see him get that P7. I'll be interested. I think he might do that on a couple more occasions this season. Thomas Stoltramanis and Gabriel Gomez. I mean, Gabriel Gomez had an okay first weekend and hasn't really looked to be up there since, which is a bit of a surprise. Thomas Stoltramanis had a better weekend last weekend, but as we spoke about, went missing a bit. But yeah, Olivieri, Munoz, the two title contenders for the rookie championship.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning. We've mentioned kind of the race 1 winner, who was perhaps a bit of a surprise if you were going to look at the form book heading into this weekend. The other man, Max Popov, again, I sort of wasn't expecting that really, but I think especially you look at the context of how race 2 went down in the sense of how crazy it was, especially at the start. I was really impressed with his performance. Again, we haven't really seen him kind of in that position yet this season. I think he's been decent, but this is, again, it's those flashy weekends you talked about, and it was a very flashy, very confident race from Max Popov.
Yeah, it was a good confident race. I mean, he was under a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of pressure pretty much the entire race. Alexander Abkhazova, as we spoke about, climbed up to second, was really pressuring him. He had Rashid Al-Daheri, who's now leading the championship, right behind him. A lot of fighting behind him, and I think it helped him out because the scraps behind him allowed him to pull a little bit of a gap and just hang on for that win. But it was good. It was, as you say, confident. It was a confident win. And hopefully, I think he'll be hoping he can do that again later in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, currently he's 8th in points at the moment, 8th in the standings. That's his first win of the season, first podium of the season, in fact. He hasn't scored any points since the first race of the season at the Red Bull Ring, so it's definitely a nice return to form for him. Other returns to form, I think you do have to look at Harry because he hasn't podiumed since his win at the Red Bull Ring as well. He went 3 races where we finished 5th, and 4th. To get a double podium, it's kind of reignited that championship challenge. And when you look ahead towards the season finale at Hockenheim, you might think, oh, he's definitely come away as the clear, like, overall, if you had to give us, like, to name a winner from the weekend overall, you'd give it to De Harry. But, and as bad as we mentioned it was for Weldon, he scored, didn't score that many points, but the gap in the title standings is only 1 point. So really, Weldon has only actually lost ground to the point where he's 1 point behind. It's not really, because you could think, oh, De Harry gets 2 podiums and Weldon gets a best finish of 5th and the other one's 10th. It sounds a lot worse than it actually is in reality. As you said, it looks, almost better on paper because it's only 1 point between the two of them. So I think we're going to be seeing kind of a resumption of this at Monza. And I think these two, they've got almost just about 10 points on Nakamura Berta, who's got 10 points on Renault Franco, who's someone we haven't mentioned, but he just went missing this weekend with a best finish of 13th, didn't score in either race. I think if we can see that Rashid Al Harry Weldon battle, I'd love to see them kind of fighting 1-2 a bit more and kind of jostling on track. But I think we've got ourselves a kind of top 4, maybe top 3, maybe even top 2 at this point. How would you call it?
Well, I think going into, we spoke about that 1 point gap at the top. I mean, that's a remnant of Sebastian Weldon's dominant weekend in Zandvoort. 2 race wins. He can have a somewhat bad weekend and still be pretty much level with the title lead. Going into the weekend, I would have confidently told you top four are our championship contenders. It's a top 4 fight for the title, and that'll continue for the rest of the year, it looked like. But this weekend from Spa-Francorchamps has been a disaster, a real disaster. I mean, these kind of weekends can put the kibosh on the championship fight. They really can. I mean, we look at this, it's round 3, but there are only 8 rounds in the championship. We're nearly halfway through. And so to have this kind of weekend really puts him on the back foot. And I think it may start to look like, if he doesn't salvage it in Monza, then it starts to look like a 3-way fight for the title, with Spa-Francorchamps kind of just ahead of that pack fighting for 5th, which is about sort of 7 or 8 drivers.
Yeah, I mean, you look ahead to the next round at Monza. We know we know what kind of racing it will produce because it is the tempo of the speed. It is basically a slipstream fest, as we've seen in F2 and F3 as well. We all remember Leonardo Fornaroli's last lap overtake to win the F3 title. For now, that's all from us here on Race Recap. Before we go, a reminder, you can follow us on our website at feederseries.net and our extensive social platform. And a huge thank you to Archie for joining us today. But for now, my name's Thomas Groves. You've been listening to Race Recap, brought to you by Feeder Series. Take care and goodbye.